on Twitch as well. There we go. Hey everyone, welcome back to Fed Up with me, Fed Up Gaz, the eternal miserable one. Joining me today are the Avant Garde band Disorientation from Quebec in Canada. Could you both please introduce yourselves? Tell us about the instruments you play.
My name is Marie-Claude Fleury. I do vocals and I play oboe and English horn, and I also do the drum programming for the band.
My name is Daniel Daris. I'm the bass player. I also record the guitar, and but I don't write the music. Marie-Claude does it. She writes almost everything. So far, it's just both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Dan also contributes some riffs. He wrote the riff at the end of our song "Jaded," and we also have a lot of riffs in the can to write future songs.
Nice. So there's a lot to build on there. That's great stuff. There's one thing I want to jump straight in with, which I was reading about you, which I found very interesting, was your first ever show, Dan, was playing in a black and death metal band at a fast food restaurant, and there was 4 people in attendance. Marie-Claude was you were amongst them, and I found that such a fun fact to read because I can relate to that so well with being a hardcore punk guy as well, and it reminded me of those shows where you even get it in black metal, say, where there's 6 to 10 people in the crowd and it's really underground, but the atmosphere is really good because people are there for the music and you get this level of intimacy. So that must have been a fun experience. And was that how you both met to form Disorientation?
We actually met a little bit before that, and it was Dan who invited me to that show at the fast food restaurant.
Yeah, it was when it did happen. It was the worst experience, but It was in the early 2000s, and of course now it's just funny and silly. But we met, me and Marie-Claude, at the Gorguts concert.
Oh,
because
nice.
I seen her so many times, just so many times at almost every gig. So I had no choice. Like, okay, I have to talk to her. She has something. Like, sometimes you feel like, okay, that person is unique, and she really is, actually. So I've never met anyone like her. I mean, the music she composed and her personality also.
Yeah,
and I love it. I really love it.
So the fast food restaurant was very muddy. Yeah, I used to my limited Francais. I still remember the basics, but I had to drop the language sadly because I was learning I think 5 or 6 languages at one point, so it became a lot to do. But it's frustrating because when I hear people speak some of the languages I was learning compared now I focus on Spanish and Italian. But say if I hear someone speak Francais, Deutsch or Swedish, I miss it. I want to start learning it again, but it was too much. 6 languages. I think it was 5 or 6 languages at once. It was crazy. But it's interesting you say, Dan, about Marie-Claude having that unique personality there, because that I think shines through in the music. Because when I was listening to the EP, and I know next to nothing about Avant Garde really, other than Avant Garde, a bit of Avant Garde death metal, and I thought I can hear bits of black metal, even black and thrash, even depressive black metal in a way, little bit doomy vibes as well, and then and I hope I'm not butchering your music here, but it sounded a bit like medieval folk music mixed in as well, both with your vocals, the instruments you're using. and it adds. It certainly adds something different. Yeah, it adds some very somber tones as well, mixed with all the dark music. So, to be honest, I still don't know how to describe it or would to somebody. So, if for those who haven't heard your music before, what would be the best way to describe the sound? Because it's so varied, I feel.
Well, I would call it chamber music, death metal. I was influenced by the European symphonic metal bands from the early 2000s, but instead of making our sound like very bombastic, like most of these bands do, like they're trying to have the biggest orchestra possible, I'm trying to keep it small, and just by using the oboe and sometimes the English horn, so it doesn't really feel big. It's just more small and more intimate.
Like very compact and focused, isn't it? So why did you, is it the English horn? Is that something that you've always been interested in playing musically?
Well, I've played oboe since I was 13 years old, and I thought the sound of this instrument was very interesting, and I've always wanted to incorporate it in metal, and I was looking for a way to introduce it, and I haven't heard many metal bands using the oboe. I think there was only one band from the Netherlands, and they just had only small passages, but I wanted to have more of it. And the English horn is a sort of bigger oboe, but the sound is a little bit lower. It's the same fingerings, but it's not an instrument that I own myself, and I like to have a yes.
It's very expensive.
Yes, expensive. So, and but it has a different tone than the oboe, and I thought it was a nice change from only using the oboe. So I've incorporated it on our newest EP, and maybe I will add it in our future songs.
It certainly added, I feel, something very ancient to the music as well. It added a presence in from what I could hear, and for example, on well, I should really talk about the songs in order, but since we mentioned this, it's a perfect segue into Dark Side, which is the third song on the EP, and the intro, it gives you this very kind of dark, moody feel. It says in a press release about hopelessness, and I feel that instrument really brings that in, and is kind of a nice addition to the very raw vocals as well. So when you constructed that song together, did you plan to do that, to have that very gloomy atmospheric intro, and did you feel that complemented the harsher tone with the song as well?
Well, actually, generally in orchestral music, the English horn is used for more sad and melancholic passages. So we thought it was a great, it was a great addition to our song, and actually. In the beginning, I had written that introduction for the oboe, but I thought maybe with the oboe the sound was maybe a little bit too shrill for the vibe that I wanted to get from for that specific song.
Mm, mm. And the song as well, it says it's about those who worry about your well-being. Why do they care? And then the press release goes on to say, honestly, short and sweet. So I just wondered for the listeners, could you tell us a little bit more about the inspiration and the themes with Dark Side?
The things within Dark Side, it's more about when you're like at the bottom, you just feel like you so don't feel well, and that you have people out of nowhere who come to you and say, oh well, it's so sad, we'd like to help. And then sometimes you wonder why do they want to help? I mean, sometimes is it out of pure generosity? Maybe they want something out of it. And sometimes some people they thrive on being around people who are just not feeling well for many reasons. It could be because they get a sense of value because they say, oh, I'm all right, and they're not, so I'm not too bad. Or they just need other people to need them. So it was all that kind of questioning that went into Dark Side.
Like helping for bad reasons.
Yeah. Like they have a hidden agenda, and those people that they often can take advantage of people in vulnerable positions. And as you were saying, Marie-Claude, it's like they're feeding off the negative energy for whatever. It sounds like I'm describing textbook narcissist here, but those people sadly are out there, and it's pretty. I think it's pretty sad when people can find themselves in a vulnerable position, and as you were saying, you can have some of those people, I guess, like come out of the woodworks, I guess, and they're offering to help. But as you were saying, are they doing it for genuine reasons? Isn't the agenda behind it? Are they wanting to take advantage of that person who's in an unfortunate position for that time for whatever reason? Pretty sad reflection of society, sadly. But yeah, it's so. But was that inspiration based on any? Was it based on any of your own personal experiences, or just on things that you've seen in society around you in the world that we read about, and perhaps knowing people who've gone through those situations?
Well, it's a part of it is my personal experience, and then a big part of it is what I have witnessed, interactions that I have witnessed. And also there's also the fact that sometimes some people they want to help, and they do things to help because they think it will help, but they don't look at the end result. Maybe it's not the thing that maybe what they do is not what will help the situation.
Yeah.
A good example that just came in my mind: if you give $10,000 to someone who is very junky, you're gonna kill him.
So. Yeah, because they're gonna. Yeah, that's it. That's right. It's sometimes where, yeah, exactly, because then it's and only that person might think, oh yeah, I am helping that individual. Here's 10K, but you know where that's going to go. So yeah, definitely. Do you both write the lyrics and and themes for the music together?
No, I write the lyrics myself. Actually, when I write the lyrics, I don't really think about in terms of lyric. I just write a stream of consciousness. I write everything that comes to mind. I don't think musically. I write everything that goes out, and not necessarily stuff that looks good. It's when I write the music, I have a riff. Okay, so that riff, I want it gives out that specific vibe, and it seems like it fit with that lyric that I wrote, and then at that moment I tweak the lyric to make it fit in the sentence, and sometimes I say, okay, so that part needs like 5 or 6 syllables, or I want this part to rhyme, this part not to rhyme. I look at the symmetry, and this is how I write lyrics.
Yeah. Interesting.
They're not necessarily connected to the music at first.
Yeah, it sounds like very, very free and very free and natural and flowing, which stream of consciousness is. They often anyone who's studied writing as well, they'll often do stream of consciousness exercises where they'll say, right, just write completely free with anything that comes into your mind. Don't worry if it looks like nonsense or doesn't make sense. Just literally right there and then, and it's really interesting, and it's amazing what can come out as well. Sometimes, perfect song lyrics, whatever. Very, very interesting stuff for sure. Another, before I talk about the other songs from the EP, another fun fact I was reading was that your recordings are done in your own rehearsal space. Very, very DIY. Don't care about trends or anything like that. It even says our recording laptop is terribly outdated. We use one of the cheapest guitars. Tiny practice same things for the bass. Well, with all that said, the quality and and the audio there is still there. It doesn't sound, for example, say like a very lo-fi black metal band or lo-fi hardcore punk band. So excuse me, sorry folks. Oh, hopefully this will be gone in a week. It's very frustrating at the moment. Cough core vocalist, but anyway. So is that. And what I'm wondering is, do you want to keep things as kind of authentic and DIY as possible in your music, or is it simply determined by budget constraints as well? Because making music is sadly, it's very expensive.
That's what we like. I mean, I'm a bass player. I'm not a guitar player, but I recorded bass because I love it. I mean, I recorded the guitar because I love it. But when it comes to guitar, we don't mind if it's crappy, because when you put the distortion, you don't notice much difference. I used 2 guitars on the last EP, a very crappy one and a very, very good one, and you don't hear the difference. Trust me, you don't. So, but when it comes to bass, I take very good ones. Same thing for the amp. But for the guitar, like we record with amps, not direct, because we want the old school feeling, like in the 80s, and we use, I think the guitar amp is like maybe, that big maybe, like very tiny. But when it's small, you can crank it up, like very, very loud, and it's better to do this than use a big amp with just a little volume. So it has to scream a lot, and I know our music screams, not just the voice, but the tone. And same thing for the artwork. it looks like something brutal or disgusting, but it's just to express emotional suffering.
Yeah, it's a
It's not gore.
metaphor.
It's not gore to be gore or anything.
Yeah, and I drew the artwork. I drew a preliminary version of the artwork by hand, but am I allowed to show it during this podcast, or will you get a? It's
Uh,
okay if you don't want to take any chance.
this sucks because I like to give artists full freedom and expression, but um, as I was saying off air, sometimes a problem we get with extreme metal when they see the covers, because a lot of it can be horror based or have that dark aesthetic to it, and people can get the wrong impression. And there was a UK death metal band some years ago, I think, who released an album, and it was a title that was kind of in reference to this. It was called "Look Beyond the Art." Like, look beyond the surface. Don't just judge, like the old expression. Don't judge a book by its cover. You, I was the first guest today, Imperium. We were chatting about how metal can often be used to comment on society, civilization, history, everything that's happening in the world, but in quite a smart way and an artistic way. And even if you put the horror vibe, an exaggerated way as well. I'd like to say yes, but if I say yes and then YouTube sadly takes down the video and we've sat here doing the interview, so I tell you what, I'll put a link at the end of the
Okay.
show, and people can go and see the artwork. No, you're very welcome. But that's really interesting how it's hand drawn as well, because I had that sense that it was a metaphor, like for the emotional suffering that someone has, the pain it causes as well. So did you when you had that image in mind, did that just naturally come to you, Marie?
Well, actually, when designing the cover, I didn't think about anything else to put on that cover. It was an image that I had in my mind, and I didn't want the cover to be pretty. But
Yeah.
the cover for our first EP, it was like a little bit raw, but it had that kind of prettiness. It was more a reflection of the sound, or with the two oboe players, it was a reflection of more the sound of the band. But that cover, it's a lyrical representation of what's in the EP.
In my words, the first artwork, the first EP artwork is like, this is how we sound, and the second one, the new one, is this is how we feel.
Yeah. But isn't that the beauty of art as well in all of it, that it can be incredibly raw, authentic, because it comes from within us. It's those natural, those feelings based on experiences. And I think when, like you were saying, Marie-Claude, about how it's a metaphor, and it's the same when you read some of these horror novels or movies, and you'll say, actually, it's commenting on this aspect in society or whatever. There's a meaning there, and I'm always fascinated by things like that, how people can create that imagery and art based on something that might not come to somebody's imagination firsthand or interpretation when they first look at it. So I wondered, could you both share a little about the title for the EP, Survival Mode? Is that based on surviving basically the difficulties of the human existence?
Absolutely. It's about, when you just don't feel right, then it's about finding ways to keep going in spite of in spite of not feeling right, whether you shut down or you retreat a little bit from society at large. It's the different aspect of it, and we all have our own ways to absorb the shocks, and this is what it's all about.
Mm. I like as well how when I was reading how you described the EP as well, it says you're both are very honest as well with how you talk about your music, because when I read it, people new to the band will either like it or hate it, or at the least it will leave them confused. It aims to create tension in the listeners, putting them ill at ease and make them question and wonder what is going on. So a very direct statement there, very open, like, yeah, you'll either get it or you won't, or you'll maybe be sat there thinking, do I get it or not? So is that something that you've both always done with your music? You say, this is what we do, this is what we are, here it is, we're going to lay it all open out for you.
Well, yes, we write the music that we want to write. We don't want to write for according to trends and what's hot at the moment. One thing that deceives me nowadays is that I will go and see a band live, and then I will come back home and listen to their music on their Bandcamp or YouTube, and I will not find the energy that I found during the live show.
Mm.
And what we like about the way we record, we try to give the same energy than if we were playing live. We don't record both at the same time, of course, but we don't want it to sound fake. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like now most of metal bands are sound so perfect. Sometimes what it takes, like Fear Factory or Meshuggah, you want it to sound perfect, of course, and I love those bands.
Yeah.
But too many they record just note by note. They don't record like a few riffs back to back.
Yeah.
My English is very limited. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
No, I understand perfectly.
Okay. Now it's note by note, so we don't want to do that.
It's interesting you say that, Dan, because one of the very early guests on the show, and they were a hard rock band, and I remember the guy said he felt that a lot of metal was overproduced and some of it was becoming too clean. And it's a topic that's come up with a number of guests, where some genres you need the lo-fi rawer approach, or it doesn't work. It can be historically more associated with that sound, old school death, for example, hardcore, lo-fi black metal as well. And then with other genres, yes, you need the like you said with Meshuggah and Fear Factory, you need the cleaner, if you like, near perfect sound. But it's become a little bit of a trend in itself, and it's almost sounding a bit like pop music. And that's not to be disingenuous to the craft or the musical ability or the vocals, but you don't want it to sound too much like pop music, because this is supposed to be alternative. You need, yes, it depends on the genre, but going for that happy medium as well. And I get the sense that you both make music from your passion and emotion and a love for the music, not concerned with sounding the most popular or the trendiest. You're writing how you feel and for the right reasons, because you want to play. And as I said, for the love of that music. So it was a very interesting point that you made, Dan. Seems to be a common topic, actually, with a lot of bands. So coming back to some of the songs on the EP, we talked about Dark Side, So I guess I'll go to Jaded next. This is the first time I guess I've gone through songs out of order, but oh well. So Jaded is an interesting one. When I was reading about it, it says the song. It's kind of like it says the deadening of emotions is complete. You know, your voice, Marie-Claude, dies down at the end to kind of really reinforce that. You've got the various instruments, the tempo changing, you know, fast to slow. So I just wondered if you could share with us what influenced the title of the song, and then the inspiration with the lyrical themes as well.
Well, for the song, we think this song has a more like a regular song structures, like it does. If I speak in classical terms, it's it does ABACA type of structure. And the inspiration for the C part, having that vocal that's all over the place and not with a set number of syllable. It comes from some of the contemporary work that I have been doing. Also because I am also a member of the Growlers Choir. You've heard about the Growlers Choir?
Yeah.
And sometimes we do music that's not really that's more contemporary. It's more like sound design, and we're making voice build-ups, and sometimes the voices get very, very loud to give a specific vibe, but it's not. There's no fixed structure. So for Jaded, for that part of Jaded, that I wanted to use that. Because I haven't heard many bands using it. It's so when I was speaking about destabilizing people by what they hear, then this is one way I've been doing it. And also, I also did it on our first EP during the song Epilogue. In the middle, there's a droney part where I sing and scream some random stuff, and some people liked it very much. And when we promoted it, we sent it to some internet radio stations, and some of them they rejected it. They said, "Oh yeah, well, we like the song, but it's too avant-garde for the show."
I didn't know that. Okay.
Right. That's a fun fact then.
Because we never really thought of ourselves as an avant-garde band, but we like the avant-garde stuff, but we never thought of ourselves as really avant-garde, but we've had a few comments that we indeed were.
Do you think that sometimes comes from because people don't quite know where to place you, because there's a wide musical range, both with your instruments and your vocals as well? I mean, I only said this to the first guest. Sometimes I just say, look, it's a metal band, but whatever the style is, you know, you like it or not, it grabs you. Or, you know, if you can't think of a genre, can't think of a name, just, hey, it's just a metal band, and it can have these styles or influences. And sadly, sometimes I think when you've got artists, I mean, it's not just in music, it can be in film and novels as well. When it's a bit outside the box, people sometimes can have a hard time accepting that. I don't know why that is, because isn't the whole point of it supposed to be stepping outside of comfort zones, not being afraid to bring in other elements?
By the way, I heard in the 80s, some music expert said the day that a band will be more extreme than Slayer, it's not gonna be music anymore.
Interesting
So
comment.
when you hear that kind of comment, it's like, or it's like, oh, it's not gonna be faster than, let's say, I don't know, Cryptopsy or whatever. People will always find a new way to expand limits. Always.
Yeah.
Yeah, even in the 90s, when people, there was a time when people were saying, like, oh, metal is dead. And I was speaking with someone, and they were talking about the album, the Suffocation's album, Pierced from Within. And they were saying, oh, this is the perfect album, and everything has been said in death metal. Then you cannot do anything else really, and this is what it is. But I don't agree with that. I always try to find other ways.
The album Obscura from Gorguts, the best example. The best example. What I heard about them, they felt the same way. They felt, okay, now maybe they did reach a limit or whatever. So let's make it like we created it, but in another way. And there's almost no distortion in the guitars, and everything is weird. The first time I heard Obscura, I didn't know how to feel about it, and I was new into extreme music, so now it's one of my favorite albums. But when it came out, and I think the whole death metal scene went like, and now it's many people's favorite. So let's not be afraid, because nothing bad is gonna happen. We will not die because of that. I think
exactly. You've got to push boundaries, experiment, and hey, if it doesn't pan out, it doesn't turn out well. Least you've tried and think, okay, that didn't work. I'll try something else. And I think, I mean, if you look at, okay, I was about to say, if you look at history, how we're always evolving, learning some things new, and then I just realized the current situation isn't exactly great in the world, sadly. But to be optimistic, we're always striving to do better. We're always, in art as well, about pushing the boundaries. So yes, and I've said this myself, yes, a lot has been done. Everything has been done. So it's very difficult to sometimes come up with, well, how am I going to do something where I'm not going to sound like this death metal band or this one? But then if, for example, if you look at the recent kind of electro metal crossover in recent years, dark drum and bass, metal step, dark house. I know this is electronic music, but there is an extreme metal influence in there, and the song titles and everything. People are always looking at ways to push the boundaries forward. It's happened in martial arts with the rise of MMA. They looked at the traditional methods. Like, some of this is a bit dated, doesn't quite work. So we'll take elements that are functional, incorporate them into a different system, and move forward with that. And it's the same with music. You for example, I mentioned to the first guest today, we've seen a lot of bands in recent years where they're using traditional instruments, very old instruments, paying homage to ancient cultures as well. And it can be something really simple, just put on a song, but it works. It makes that a little bit different. There can be a different basis with the lyrics and focus. So I think you're right, Marie-Claude. If somebody says, right, nothing is ever going to expand, no one is ever going to do anything different, it's just going to stagnate, well, hell, we might as well just all stop and give up. There would be no point. So I think that's very short-sighted, because there will always be people looking for different ways to do things, different interpretations, or how to take things forward. I will both let you get a word in now after that long-winded rant.
I'm sorry, you were not done?
No, it's all right. It's all right. No,
Okay.
go on, Dan. It's okay.
What I believe is, at least in my case, if I try to play like another bass player, it's not gonna sound like that bass player.
Yeah.
I tried to play some bass lines. I couldn't feel like Chris Squire, for example.
Yeah.
I was not comfortable. Like when it comes from you and when you how can I say that? Like I was talking about Marie-Claude, she's very unique. So
Mm.
she doesn't sound like Tatiana from Ginger, for example.
Yeah.
She sounds possessed, totally possessed. I love it. She sounds crazy, whatever, like she's dying. She gives everything. So even if another female singer in metal scene, blah blah blah, but you recognize her. So I love when you recognize people, not just bands, but every musician, every singer, like Chris Barnes. Even if a lot of people complain now about Chris Barnes, you still recognize the human being behind the mic.
Yeah.
So it's not, how can I say that? There will always be personalities, I think. I think.
Yeah.
And it's the most important.
Yeah, because we can only be us, and if you try and copy someone, well, it doesn't sound authentic. It doesn't sound real. It just sounds like a pure substitute for that art. And yeah, and I think I do relate to what you're saying, Dan, as well about a bit of the trend with people saying another female fronted singer because there's lots of that kind of pop metal around now where they've essentially just took a pop singer and put them with a metal band. And you were saying earlier about it being a bit too clean, a bit too produced, where even the music sounds soft, where it's not look, I'm not bashing those bands' ability or anything, but a lot of that is starting to sound very much the same. You could listen to one of those bands and you would think, hey, it's just the same one. They all kind of sound like Amaranth Thief. I feel they're all clones of each other. So this would be perfect opportunity to talk about Dissociation, the first track on the EP. Another one that's certainly got a wide range in the music. It's got ferocity there as well. It's got that dark, gloomy emotion too. Everything is there. So, again, could you both tell us a bit about the inspiration for the title of the song and the themes with the lyrics as well?
Well, actually, I'm thinking about what you said in the about YouTube putting a warning of promoting self-harm. I'm thinking, well, maybe we should put the 18 and over setting on our lyric video because we haven't heard about and we haven't heard about YouTube complaining, saying, hey. You shouldn't be putting that. So now I'm getting a little bit nervous.
Yeah, it's the weird thing is there's been a lot of I've interviewed quite a few brutal death and slam bands on the show, and some of the album covers on there, very very horror, very brutal, etc. But yeah, I got as soon as I put your EP cover up, it got flagged straight away, and the show was taken down. And I almost was going to just make an entirely separate show and link, and I thought, oh, there's not much time. You were due on the show in a few minutes. I thought I'll just take the cover down and change it. But I think a lot of them they'll have bots which will flag something what comes under their guidelines, and I guess if it activates something on their checklist, they can I don't know, take it down for whatever. But the sad thing is, as I was saying, when you think about some of the things that you can see on here with people promoting hate speech, etc., And I think, well, it's just a, you know, an album cover for an extreme, you know, for a metal band. But yeah, sadly, it is what it is. So yeah, so what you know, what inspired the themes for Dissociation? Would I be on the right kind of thought passage if it was possibly about someone feeling just dissociated from society, like they don't quite fit in?
Yes, we thought about that too, and also may also when you're in a situation where there's something bad happening to you, then you just shut down and your mind goes somewhere else. That can be also that, and also the fast riff at the beginning is also representative of the you know, the need to do something when you're in a nasty situation, like not stay passive in front of it. So it was about that.
Yeah.
You know, realizing that, oh no, things are not pretty, then it's just shutting down and going elsewhere.
Yeah, it's very powerful. There's a very powerful lyrics you have, Marie-Claude, as well for it, because there's you know, when you come to the one of the later passages where it says everything is war, misery awaits, ready to pounce. It just won't take anybody else. You know, when the ordeal has no end in sight, retreating is the only way out. That makes me think of like that internal struggle people can have within them, like, you know, wanting to find that balance, not fall to the dark side in them. It sounds like I'm paraphrasing Star Wars here, but I guess, yeah, not being a Darth Vader, I suppose. So I, you know, very powerful words, which I feel really supports the music, and they're very raw too.
Yes, it's you know, when you're in a bad situation, sometimes you can feel like you know, it's always you who's getting punched, and why is it never anybody else?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm still having this battle with the throat at the moment, so sorry about that, folks. Again, just a disclaimer for those who are tuning in, wondering what's Gaz doing in the background. 3 weeks of flu, which I'm still getting over, so occasionally I have to look like I'm possessed and mute out and do monotone theatrics, I guess, a real bad way. I wondered as well, you know, you mentioned the lyric video for Dissociation. Are you planning to release any other videos to support the EP, you know, for perhaps Jaded or Dark Side?
Well, we do not have plans for an extra video. In the beginning, we did not even plan for a video at all, but we wanted to be better structured for our promotion. And you know, someone said to us, "Oh, well, you absolutely need a video." So we did this video that was also DIY. We used OpenShot to create the video with the lyrics and all the backgrounds, pictures of us, the cover, and we did that in a weekend, and we've put out the video, because it was a little bit tricky and challenging, because myself, I'm not a big fan of lyric video. I find them to be a little bit repetitive in their imagery, their visuals. So we tried to spice it up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And you have some, you know, guest musicians as well. are they going to play with you again for possible live shows and the future releases?
Well, for live shows, we would be pleased if they can play with us. But it's always what you want to do versus what you can do. It's like for the oboe, it will be very hard to find 4 oboe player with at least 3 of them who can double on English horn when needed, and ask them to play for not much because we don't have enough money at the moment. So we would have to rely on pre-recorded tracks.
Yeah.
So that it's just a reality, but we try to tell ourselves, okay, well, there's all those industrial bands who have a lot of backing tracks. Even with the Growlers Choir, we use backing tracks. So we'll have to do with that for the moment. But maybe one day we will be able to have a full SATB choir and 4 oboe players who can play the music on stage with us.
Yeah, that would be really cool. It'd be interesting to see as well. So the EP Survival Mode, it comes out very soon, actually, December the 1st. I know you've got the pre-orders up on Bandcamp at the moment as well. I know, again, budget constraints comes into this. I just wondered, do you have any shirts, any other merchandise coming to support the EP?
For the EP, at the moment, it's digital only. But when we start a playing show with a full lineup, then we want to produce T-shirts.
Yeah, and probably vinyl. I don't know if we will make any CD. I have no idea. Cassettes, I would love it, but so far we have no idea. So maybe.
Yeah. Vinyl's stupidly expensive as well. Very popular, but I think that's why most bands will do limited runs with vinyl, just because of the cost. I did like when I was reading fun facts about you as well, the other one where it says more fun facts to come as the band evolves and starts playing live, I guess. That was another fun one for sure. Sadly, guys, my throat is really starting to bother me quite a lot, so I'm gonna have to sadly cut it a bit short today, which I have really enjoyed talking to you, though. It's been a very interesting conversation.
We enjoyed talking to you as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, likewise. Well, we can do it again for sure in the future when my throat will be a lot better then. I always like to give guests the opportunity when I get to the end of any show to not only promote the band, but shout out anything that they would like, whether it's to do with the music or anything else they're involved with or any other interests. So, both of you, is there anything that you would like to shout out and promote?
So far?
Well, yeah, you can talk about He Lies in Ruin, your other band.
My other projects. It's hard to say. It's more like we have a few gigs, but no recording this year. So I don't know. So far, I have many projects. One of them is a black metal band called Obscurcis Romancia, and we recorded already a few new songs. So next year we'll have a few surprises.
Cool. Yeah, keep me in the loop, man. I like the name. It's a good name.
And we have posted their last record in our recommendation section on Bandcamp.
The last album, Bringer of Light, sounds super raw.
Wow,
yeah. It's how can I say that? It has let's say maybe a mid-90s vibe, like Emperor, maybe that kind of stuff. It sounds like a tornado. I'm not kidding.
Absolute onslaught. Yeah. And what about you, Marie-Claude? Anything you would like to shout out?
Well, actually, I would like to shout out, of course, the Growlers Choir and the project we participated in last week. The Growlers Choir is a part of the La Suspendida Jazz Metal Opera. It's a collaboration between the jazz trio Kilter, the string quartet Seven Sons, singer Andromeda Anarchia, and us, the Growlers Choir. It's an opera based on a true story. It's based on the story of Maria Elena Milagros. It was at the beginning of the century. She was a Cuban woman who went to Florida to get treated for tuberculosis, but at that moment it was a fatal disease. And the doctor who treated her is named Carl Tanzler. He fell in love with her, and after her death, he kept her body, and he treated her as his wife. And he was having sex with her.
Oh.
The libretto for this opera has been written by William Berger. He's a commentator for the Metropolitan Orchestra in New York. There has been a book written about it.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, the suspense.
Yeah, and last week we were in Paris for 2 shows. We played that opera in its entirety, and this has been we have recorded it, and for a CD that will come out in March 2024.
Nice. That must have been a really wonderful experience playing in Paris.
Oh yeah, it was pretty intense, and it's also different from a metal show. It's a different setting because we had someone to do the staging, and they were saying, okay, when you have this part of the music, you need to be at a specific place on the stage, and you need to do that move and that move and that move.
Yeah.
And but for the music, for me, it was fine because I've played it a few times already. But it's just the new moves that okay, though at first it doesn't come naturally, but we eventually got it. And we also played the opera for 3 shows in New York last January.
Wow. This is when I wish I didn't have this really, really bad situation with flu at the moment, because that is so interesting, and I would start nerding and talking more about the opera there, playing. I'd set up a whole show just for that, actually. But yeah, that is really, really interesting. We definitely would like to talk to you about that again at some point. I want to send a shout to those who've watched live today, or those who watch, later on the podcast. It's greatly appreciated. Merci beaucoup to both of you for joining me today and chatting about everything you do. It's been a really interesting conversation. I'm going to get some much needed whiskey in a moment and rest the throat for the night. Oh, it's catching. It's spreading, isn't it? Yeah.
Look what it's done.
It's spreading through the internet. Yeah, come on this show and you'll catch flu as well. Now I'm going to start. So folks.
I'm fine.
Yeah, for now.
For now.
Yeah, for now. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's perfect time to wrap it up. So again, thanks for coming on. I want to send a shout out to John at Asher Media as well. we're all running the flu.
Oh, I think I spoke too much.
Yeah, that's it. Cough, cough. Yeah. Okay, folks. I'm gonna wrap it up because I'm starting to go down. So I'm gonna hit end stream and see you all on the next episode of Food Up. And you both take care as well.